All right, so I just want to discuss something pretty quickly here, because I do have a lot of stuff to prepare for today, video wise. So I want to talk about antinatalism and how I've grown from first watching. Um, I don't know if any of you know about him, but I've been watching Emendum, who is his name is Gary. He's a guy who makes a lot of videos about, well, he does still make videos about this topic, but back in 2011 I first started watching him, and at that point I was, only, I mean, 21. I'm almost 28 now. I guess it doesn't really make any difference, but back then I um, didn't really agree with him, like at all. And after watching some other antinatalists like Derived Energy, who has now passed away, and watching a lot of other ones, um, I've kind of come to upon watching them, I came to the point to read the book by uh, can't remember his name. There's a book called Better Never to Have Been by Benatar. I can't remember his first name. His name was Benatar. I read that book, and I did some videos about that book um, back in 2011, I believe. I believe it's in my playlist somewhere, in my existentialism playlist. I don't know how well I did back then. I was only into philosophy for about a year or two then, so I don't probably didn't do very well on that. But I want to discuss that a little bit and discuss why I've come to the point that I myself an antinatalist. Um, so watching Gary, watching Emendum, I didn't really, agree with it, and the main reason was because of my belief in Christianity, and I am still a Christian, and I do believe in God, and I do have what Gary would call the believing in a I can't remember exactly what it was, but believing in some imaginary thing in the sky. Um, so I do still retain that belief, but personally, I have watched Gary over the past 7 years and listened to him talk about antinatalism and ephilism, and talk about how life itself is broken and how being alive is to be brought into existence by somebody who just had sex is just an imposition. It's imposing on you when you are born. It's imposing suffering on you, that when you are born here that you are going to deal with a lot of suffering. Maybe not in the terms of being, abused, or having to deal with poverty and sickness and hunger and stuff like that. That's kind of extreme ones, but there's still a lot of suffering um, in the common person's life. Definitely, sometimes like the regular suffering that we talk about on a day-to-day basis, not and excluding stuff like rape and incest and that kind of, and suffering like poverty and hunger and disease and that kind of stuff that's really on the extreme side. But there's still a lower level of suffering that a person regularly has to deal with, whether it be social, whether it be anything like that. Um, so when you are born, it is my opinion that it is being imposed on you that you have to live, um, that you have to be alive, and you have to deal with all that shit, that and deal with the broken thing that is life, the lack of function in life, the lack of function in society. And Eminem talks about it a lot. He talks about how, something, you have a mechanism that is supposed to work that is broken, and people still think that it's a good thing to have babies. Now, I'm not going to impose my, belief on my opinion with antinatalism on anybody else, because I think that people should consider it, that it may be your right to have sex, but and have babies, but you should think about that when you have a child. you are basically creating suffering. You are creating somebody who has to deal with a lot of difficult things in life, because that's what life is. Life is a broken thing. Um, and Emmanuel has also discussed how one baby can equal 1 billion babies. Um, Now, with respect to my religion, it's I've discussed that being an antinatalist can really conflict with a religion, because God in my Christianity does say that you should you should procreate, but and I do believe that the suffering and the brokenness that is life, the lack of function that is life, is there for a reason, a specific reason that God has put in place. However, I haven't been really, thoroughly religious. I haven't been really, doing that much practice of it, but I still believe it, and I still, you know, I still talk to God sometimes and stuff like that. But it is just my personal belief that I don't want to have to put that imposition on anybody. I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to bring somebody into this world and have to say to them as they grow up, this is the stuff that you're going to have to deal with. Now, I'm very blessed. I'm not saying that I'm somebody who's just suffering beyond belief. I'm not saying that I'm somebody who has just dealt with the hardest life. I'm not a, I'm not a middle class baby who is like crying about all my problems. I'm very very blessed. Yeah, I have problems just like everybody else, but I'm very very blessed, and I'm happy. And if it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that that life wasn't imposed on me, and it still means that I have to deal with this broken, functionless thing that is life. And that's true. I do have to do that. I have to do that because I'm alive. Now, Albert Camus, who wrote the myth of Sisyphus, talked about this problem. The main problem in philosophy is to live or to die, to live or to commit suicide. That's the biggest problem. He talked about life as Sisyphus, as rolling a boulder up a hill only to have it roll back down, and you kind of are on this constant, rolling the fucking boulder up the hill, and constant struggle that is life. Now I've discussed that, and I've discussed that book in a way better form, and just I've done that better in another video, and I haven't read Camus for a while, so my explanation is probably off, but I'm just saying that, having listened to it and I thought about this for my own life, it just seems to me that with the suffering that I've seen others go through, it's something that I don't want to have to bring a child. I don't want to have to bring a child into this world and have him possibly have to deal with that. I just don't. And I think that you it's better that someone doesn't exist than to exist and have to suffer. Granted, I'm sure that there is a lot of, every person who is born has a purpose. I do agree with that. But personally, for me, I don't. There. First of all, there would have to be a big. There would have to be. There'd have to be. I don't consider. I don't. I want to live a life without a woman. I want to live a life. I want to live a life without any woman at all. I don't want to ever do that again. I don't want to get married. I don't want to do anything like that. I don't want to have kids. And that's not because of what life has done to me. Yeah, I've gone through shit, but it's because of the possibility of what my child would have to go through, and I could not see that. I could not deal with that. Of having brought somebody into this world and watching my child go through something that could be way horrible that I've gone through. And I don't want that. And, you know, Gary explains stuff like this way better than I can. And he's really big. He's really big on that, and he's really discussed that in a way better way than I have. But it's just come to my realization of what I would have to watch upon bringing somebody into this world. But I don't know. I'm still happy. I'm still a very happy person. I still am very blessed. I'm very happy with the life that I have. Like I said, I don't, you know, I don't deal. I don't. I'm not perfect. I don't have a perfect life, of course, but it's just the possibility that bringing somebody into this world, and possibly that person that I bring in, my son or my daughter, having to deal with horrible things. That because it's also because going forward in this country and in a lot of countries, going forward with this economy, this society, I think that things are going to get worse with respect to, you know, with respect to having Social Security, having certain rights that we should have as people who are working, and I think there's a lot things are going down the toilet. I think as like economically, you know, in society, socially, I think that things are going to get worse as we go on. So I just don't want to have to bring somebody into this world and have to most likely have them watch them deal with way worse things. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with that. I don't want to impose this thing on somebody else. Yeah, life is great. I have a great life, but I don't want to deal. I don't want to. I don't want to have to push the the reset button and have some brand new life where some really horrible things could happen. And I want to decrease suffering, not broaden it. I don't want to. I don't want to increase it. The idea is to decrease suffering, and I want to help people and stand with people who are alive today. And I'm not going to commit suicide, of course, and I just don't want to open anybody up for horrible suffering. I don't want to have that happen. So let me know your thoughts on this topic. This in 2011, back when I was first watching Gary, like this was a big thing on YouTube. Like, well, at least in the thinkers part of YouTube, you had Emendum and you had a lot of other people chiming in on this. You had Professor Anton and Matthew Segal, Thou Art That. You had Derived Energy. You have a lot of other people who chimed in on this thing. So looking back on that, I've really changed to have this opinion, this very similar opinion that Gary has. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for watching.